What's going on, guys? Today I want to talk about Coachella, or more accurately, just the general conversation that Coachella has spawned online over the past little while. So Justin Bieber had his performance. I think he's performing every weekend. I honestly don't know how Coachella works like that, but I think he's headlining every weekend. But at least like the previous weekend, it was going very viral, I would say. Especially he was like playing stuff off his laptop, and then there spawned a whole discussion of male pop stars versus female, which I don't really care to get into. But I just noticed a lot of people talking about like, okay, so Justin Bieber did it this year, like who's possibly left that they could get that would have the type of legacy slash draw of like someone like a Justin Bieber or any type of superstar that hasn't already performed. And that got a lot of people talking, throwing names out there, yada, yada, yada. But the one thing I noticed was a lot of it tended to be just kind of random artists from years past, like not newer people. And I think I saw people talking about this as well, just kind of like this is kind of exposing the lack of new superstars because you're getting Justin Bieber to do it. No hate to Justin Bieber, especially, he did drop an album last year, so I'll give him that. He's been active recently, and he's dropped a couple projects this decade at least, where a lot of other legacy artists maybe haven't. And Justin Bieber's been making music since what? 08, 09? Like I was in third grade when that guy popped off. And obviously he's so young. Like he's only 32 now. So like I mean it just goes to show you how young he was when he initially got going in the music scene. And like I said, like okay, Justin Bieber just did it. Who else? And like I said, all the names were more legacy names. And I think this is really just exposing like the lack of an environment for a superstar to really rise again the way they did in years past. And there's multiple reasons like that. Obviously, the one that probably comes to mind first is just everyone's fractured attention on the internet. The algorithm has sort of divided the different bubbles that you might be in, and some artist or person that is huge in one circle might not have any weight, or people don't even know who they are in another. And it's just because of the way the internet is now and how everything is designed to match with your algorithm. Like they're not really showing you too many things that are random because they want to keep you on their platform, and they're better off doing it by showing you stuff that you've proven to like and know, stuff that you've liked, interacted with, and whatnot. And so now I'm just genuinely thinking like, okay, who would be the last like superstar? Because a lot of people say Travis Scott, which he's definitely up there. But like really 2015 is almost the cutoff, because like Post Malone is like the one other guy I go to. But he was also like kind of like 2015 really started, getting going. I want to say maybe 2016, but I'm pretty sure 2015 was when he had like some of his singles actually going crazy. And then now you look at people following. So like even like let's go as mainstream as possible, like a Sabrina Carpenter. Like a lot of people know who she is. I don't think anyone knows her music. And that is a huge differentiation between previous pop stars and Sabrina Carpenter and the like. Because at the very least, if you didn't like Britney Spears or that wasn't your type of music, you knew her top like 2 or 3 songs because they were getting played like that. They were on the radio. Now, when you don't have to resort to the radio or these other, things to get your entertainment, and you're able to more directly find what interests you through the internet, and you have so many more options too. You want to listen to music? You can just listen to your own music on Spotify. You don't have to listen to the radio. And then, okay, you don't want to listen to music? You can listen to podcasts. You can listen to audiobooks. Like there are just so many more alternatives and substitutes to listening to music than there was previously. And now people aren't even getting exposed to those more like the general zeitgeist or pop culture, like, oh, if you listen to this, you'll kind of be in the know. Because like I said, everything is so divided that there's too many people not paying attention that even to get to that level of recognition, it probably won't necessarily translate to them recognizing your music like it did previously. Like literally think of any of the big like or even like one hit wonders like Gangnam Style guy. Like you at least know that song. Think how many like think of a similar artist maybe, and just, don't draw too many comparisons, but let's say a Benson Boone, for instance. That guy was obviously all over the place last year. He had some huge songs. gun to your head, like if you don't really know who Benson Boone is, you're not gonna know what the hell he's singing. Like as far as the songs, like he's just so far removed from your world that you couldn't even begin to maybe even get. Like you might know, especially because there just happen to be a lot of memes and online hate on him, which whatever. But like some people knew through that. But if you're not ironically, kind of bashing on him, I don't know what nice way to say that. Like you just don't know his music or whatever unless you're a fan. So that is sort of like really, I think, helping develop like the difference between these two eras is like you can even get the recognition, which is hard enough already, but now to translate that over directly to your music and your catalog is a whole different beast. Like maybe you happen to get like a trend going or something with your song and that can really help out, but even that seems to be like kind of like everyone was talking about the TikTok hits. Well, TikTok is part of this like fracturing of everyone's feed and timeline. Like they made the For You page and kind of put everyone out on it for better or for worse. And so like when years passed, when you had like I don't know, Blueberry Fig, like these songs ended up being huge. And not that you can't still get a good audience or even like a big one, at least eyes on your song, but it doesn't seem to have like the universal effect it was first having as people were like initially starting to use that type of platform, as well as the other social media companies following suit. Um, the other thing that I feel like is really holding people back from ever really entering that like superstar status is just now having so much online discourse about you. Like there's a few artists that I think people would argue for of like getting close or proving that they might be next up. And like someone who comes to mind, which I think is just a great example of what I'm about to talk about, is Yeet. So obviously Yeet had a pretty meteoric rise, I would say, definitely helping usher that like underground sound as well. And there's a lot of people that are Yeet fans, and Yeet is at least a known name amongst quite a few people. He still falls victim to like, okay, there's a lot of people that don't know who Yeet is if they're not listening to that type of music or in those social media circles. But he's got a decent audience, especially for today's standards. And then he comes out with his most recent album, and it seems to be getting a lot of hate and a lot of criticism. Not saying he is above it, but I think when you have artists like him, he was doing so much that was being appreciated by his fans at least, and also even bleeding over into the mainstream sector of the music as well. But it's almost like once you start doing too good for too long, like people are looking for the hate. And not even to say that like people are only hating on this album because it's new and he's just been doing too good for too long. We got to hate on it now. But I think people are just more inclined to pull that trigger, as well as just like think of like Lil Wayne. Oh, I'm trying to think of the album. The rock album is a Rebirth. I might be messing that up, but he does that rock album. That thing bombs hard. People aren't messing with it. And like now, I wasn't really paying too much attention to hip hop discourse back then. I was a child, but like now, that's kind of a blip on the radar in the overall career of Lil Wayne. Like people will mention it, but it's not what they hyper fixate on or focus on when they're discussing his overall career and legacy. And it is probably because you weren't looking at social media, kind of making it a bigger deal or a bigger stink out of it than is really necessary or there really was. So now when Yeet has like a lukewarm album that drops, like you're seeing all of the extreme voices about it because that's what's getting pushed to your timeline. And I think that is somewhat really jading people's opinion on the music, as well as just feeding into the general like narrative of, oh, this guy's kind of corny or dropped something kind of lame. Like I can't be listening to that. Like people do make a lot of their decisions based off the reception of the music and the general. Like if you see the reaction to the music and it's not positive before you listen to the music, you're just kind of set up to not like it. Whereas maybe if you heard it first, you would give it a much fairer shake. Like I felt that way about the Carter 6. I know, hot take. I'm not saying it was great, but I think there was a few songs. Like I don't think it was that bad. I think it was just the kind of, oh, you're putting the Carter label on it, and then now there's sort of a lot of expectations. Like I think for a Lil Wayne album, it's kind of about what I expected, and maybe you should say, well, you should have expected more, and hey, fair enough. But I will maintain that if you like Lil Wayne music, I don't think the Carter 6 was really that bad. But yeah, that's basically all I wanted to talk about. Just kind of like, man, there really are no superstars next up. And like, even the closest we get with someone like a Yeet per se, it's like, how long can they manage expectations before like they're just set up to kind of be dunked on and fall down? I do think the music will always kind of prevail, but I do think a lot of people are just letting the internet and online discourse decide for them if music is worth their time. And I think that is contributing to the overall lack of like a new superstar that is like the forefront of music and the younger generation today. Thank you guys for listening. Let me know your thoughts. Is there anybody else that you feel like kind of fits into that Travis Scott, Post Malone class of like kind of last through the door on the superstar thing? And is there anyone more in like the Yeet era that you think is like kind of getting set up to be that next guy? Because I'd love to know. Maybe it's someone I didn't think of or someone I'm just not really tapped into musically like that. Once again, thank you for listening. If you did, have a good one. Peace.